Hey there, I'm Anthony Romano, and this video is on the best times to eat while you're fasting, okay? So that sounds kind of contradictory, but I mean when you break your fast and when you're intermittent fasting, because there are some very particular times that are going to be better for your body to eat on when you're doing some sort of fasting routine, okay? And this is based a lot on circadian rhythm, and it's also based a lot on optimal sleep and things of that nature. So, for starters, breakfast is the most important meal of the day to skip. So, that's a great line I love using, but essentially, I'm going to give you an idea of where to find your own fasting window, okay? Especially as far as intermittent fasting goes. So, why is breakfast the most important meal of the day to skip? When you have an insulin rise in the morning from eating food, no matter what food you eat, by the way, your body's going to release insulin to simply escort the nutrients into the muscles, the amino acids, if there's any carb in there as well. So, if you skip that morning meal and you don't have that insulin rise, you're going to be in a lower insulin state. And then the cortisol, the stress hormone from waking up, is going to help you mobilize fatty acids as fuel. So this is good. That's going to be far more beneficial for fat burn and also for autophagy, depending on how long you're fasting. But that's the beginning. And the part where people mess up a lot of intermittent fasting is when it comes to intermittent fasting, people tend to skip breakfast and then they'll eat everything right before bed. Now, this is a problem, okay? So part of the reason why the 12 to 8 window is often recommended is because it accounts for the breakfast, but it also accounts for sleep. So you always want to have your last meal giving at least 4 hours of space before bed. Now, why do you want to do this? Because the body, according to our natural circadian rhythm, is not good at digesting food while you're sleeping. Your intestinal motility is down, your liver is half asleep because it already down-regulates from melatonin secretion. Your body is not primed to digest food while you're sleeping, okay? It's that simple. Your body is trying to repair while you're sleeping, okay? Digestion can easily occur at certain parts in the evening, or even in the morning as well, but it also depends on what your body is attuned to. So, what we do know, the hard stops are the best time for fat loss to skip a meal is breakfast, because you're going to have the most cortisol, you're going to have the lowest insulin of the day, and essentially you're going to have higher fat cell motility if you essentially fast during that window in the morning after breakfast, right? But a lot of people will slam a bunch of food in the evening, and from there they can fuck up their sleep, and then they might perpetuate a bad sleeping schedule, things of that nature. But here's the main thing. And especially because a lot of people will tend to get in this habit of skipping breakfast and they'll just eat like a buffet at night, okay? You don't want to do that. That's going to counteract all the stuff you're doing the fast for in the first place, okay? So, especially if it comes to autophagy and cellular cleansing, the benefits of fasting where your body heals itself. It's literally, if you don't know what that is, Google it. It's a huge thing, autophagy. So, when we're looking into the 4 to 5 hours of space before sleeping with your last meal, it's because your body will upregulate the glymphatic system. So the glymphatic system is essentially a brain cleansing system. Okay, it can recycle used up proteins. It can basically clean out your brain. Okay, and what you want to do is you don't want to be digesting food during that time, because that's going to basically reduce the effectiveness of your glymphatic system. And when you have at least 4 hours of space before bed, with your last meal being consumed 4 hours before, or maybe even 5, but 4 is the minimum amount for effectiveness, you will experience better sleep, you will have better recovery, and basically the next day, you'll feel a lot better. So this is another reason why, as far as fasting as a lifestyle goes, of course, you're going to get better lifestyle benefits, more controlled blood sugar in the morning from fasting and skipping breakfast, but also, you don't want to fuck up your sleep. You want to have adequate sleep, and you want to optimize that sleep, and the way to do that is leaving some space of time before you actually fall asleep after your last meal. So, some of you may have noticed that if you're a late sleeper, especially for somebody who does fasting, I encounter a lot of people who stay up late, like myself plenty of times, and they fast in the daytime, but then they're eating late at night. The problem here is that you might even notice that the part of the reason you fall asleep late is because you eat right late, and then I bet you, if you looked at the last time you stayed up late, your last meal was around 4 or so hours. Your body probably didn't even get tired until 4 or 5 hours after that last meal. So for a lot of people, if they eat late at like midnight, they won't fall asleep till 4 or 5 a.m. or any other span of hours you want to do here. So that's another reason why, let's say somebody picked the 12 to 8 fasting window, right? They skip breakfast, they eat at lunch, and then their last meal, they'll still fall asleep around midnight or maybe a little bit before or a little bit after if they eat from 12 to 8. So my personal preferred eating range is around 4 hours, 4 or 5 hours, because I find I like to eat 1 or 2 meals, and I either cram it into a small window of 3 hours or so every day, just out of lifestyle routine and mental function and all those other benefits, blood sugar control, etc. But I find, even for myself, a 4-hour window of maybe 4 or 5 p.m. and stopping eating by 8 or 9. Okay, and then I'll fall asleep around midnight, that sort of a thing. Because you want to have, that's on the good days, because some days I stay up late doing a lot of work and shit like that, okay? But we all have those days. And nobody's going to be perfect all the time. However, the best time to fast is going to be, as far as fat burn is concerned, morning is when you are going to get the most fat burn. You can churn out some fasted cardio and really just destroy body fat. You absolutely can, okay? That's the best time for fat mobility, okay? And again, it's because your insulin's low, your body's going to upregulate glucagon, basically as a response to insulin, and that's going to mobilize the fatty acids and basically let you use them as fuel. And if somebody is fasting late at night, there's generally 2 camps. There's the people who say, oh, I don't eat after 8 or I don't eat after 7, but then they eat in the morning. Or there's the people who skip the breakfast and they eat late. So you want to be in the middle of both of those two. You don't want to be eating too close to bed, and you don't want to be eating too early in the day. As far if you are pursuing a fat loss goal. I mean, if you're not pursuing a fat loss goal or intermittent fasting benefits through blood sugar control, then yeah, eat in the morning, right? A lot of people do prefer to eat in the morning, and I've worked with plenty of people who enjoy that, but their fasting total hours still adds up to around the same, and maybe they'll stop eating earlier in the night. So the main thing here is leave enough time before sleep, and if you want more fat burn, adjust your morning accordingly. So either stop eating breakfast and maybe even lunch, but then make sure you eat before it gets too late, okay? This is going to be key, and you'll probably notice that you're hungry every single day at the same time. This is because of a hormone called ghrelin. And essentially, that is like, if there was a hormone that we could say, yeah, this is the button to make you hungry, it's ghrelin. And what ghrelin does is essentially it releases the same times every day in anticipation of you eating, which is why a lot of people eat the exact same times every day. And there's other interactions between other hormones that influence ghrelin's release, but essentially it only takes 3 or 4 days for your body to reassess when it should be spiking ghrelin. So for a lot of people, a 4 or 5 day fast can reset those times. So if you're somebody who needs to fix a sleep schedule or get used to a different time zone, something like that, then proactively eating earlier in the day can time your body to be hungry at a certain time. So if you're trying to adjust to a new fasting window of, 12 to 5, when you previously would fast from 5 to 8, or would be your eating window. If you previously were eating at 5 to 8 and you want to eat between 12 to 5, you're going to have to start eating earlier to proactively get your body used to ghrelin release at that time. And then from there, you can essentially try to give yourself enough space before bed to sleep adequately, and it may require some willpower. But that's, again, where for myself, what I like doing is I'll fast for 4 or 5 days if I want to reset my timing of when I'm hungry every day. I'll fast for 4 or 5 days, go to sleep on an empty stomach, get that recovery from the lymphatic system, being upregulated from the autophagy, okay? That's what I will do essentially to reset my timing. And that's just one, really hardcore tip there. But remember, the keys are: morning is the best time for fat burn, okay? Nighttime is the best time for repair and recovery, and you want to hit the balance of both of those with any intermittent fasting goal. So that is key, and I guess I could get into prolonged fasting a little bit, but I'll probably do that in other videos. But as far as somebody managing intermittent fasting, the best time to fast is going to be sometime in the morning and sometime overnight, a mix of the two, perfect balance, right? Funny how that works out. So that is it for this video. Leave me some questions. Go to my website, submit an application if you want to work together, and also look at my programs, look at my free guides, things of that nature, merchandise. And that's it for this one. I'm Anthony Romano. Peace.